An extraordinary search in the South Indian Ocean is underway. The Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, with 230 passengers and 9 crew aboard, and the Malaysian government joined forces to search for the aircraft and launched the most expensive search and rescue operation of all time. The resources placed at the disposal of the operation were impressive, but the size of the area was also awe-inspiring. More than 1 million square kilometers of empty ocean. The search continued for 4 years, and then the private oil prospecting company Ocean Infinity offered a success fee deal to find the plane. These 2 campaigns also drew a blank. Everything that we know about MH370 has been pulled together by both public authorities and private individuals to get a fleeting glimpse of what might have gone wrong aboard the flight. It is the evening of the 8th of March 2014. The flight for Beijing is ready for departure. There isn't a cloud in the sky, and 153 Chinese, 38 Malaysian, and a mix of other nationalities, including 2 Italians, are preparing for their flight to China. Captain Zachary Ahmed Shah and his co-pilot, First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid, are in the cockpit. They have been through security and are preparing the plane for takeoff. Neither has shown any sign of mental stress. Both have families and enjoy the prestige of flying for one of the best airlines in the world. What happened on board MH370 remains one of the great mysteries of aviation.
It was an aircraft in a perfect state, piloted by serious people, competent people who fly for an airline that has a good reputation, especially in Southeast Asia. An airline that's an example, an old airline, a traditional one that knows what it's doing. The flight takes off around midnight. The weather's good. There's nothing special. It's not a long flight either, several hours. A flight to China that crosses airspaces that are not dangerous either weather-wise or geopolitically.
In the initial report presented by the Malaysian government, the exact route followed by MH370 is accurately traced. But understanding the sequence of events, even partially, was not easy. The flight took off at 0042 Malaysian time, or 1642 Coordinated Universal Time, the time measure used by the investigation. It rapidly rose to 35,000 feet, or 10,500 meters, and headed directly for Beijing.
0, we are ready, requesting flight number 350 to Beijing.
The flight was due to last approximately 5 hours. Just after 1:20 a.m., the aircraft left an area of Singapore's air traffic responsibility delegated to Malaysia, at a waypoint known as Igari. As he entered the Ho Chi Minh air traffic control area, Zachary Ahmed Shah said goodnight to Malaysian air traffic control.
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night. Good night, Malaysian 370.
A whole lot of simple things happened in a few moments, just as one of the pilots turned the transponder off so it could no longer be seen by Kuala Lumpur. And they would have thought, that's a bit odd, but he's talking to Ho Chi Minh City. But of course he didn't call Ho Chi Minh City. What he did do was he turned quite sharply to the left.
MH370 disappeared from the air traffic control radar that traces the signals sent out by the aircraft's transponder with its individual call sign. Former Eurocontrol project manager and member of the CAPTIO group of investigators into the mystery, Jean-Luc Marchand, understands exactly what this means.
You have to understand what was going on in the mind of the air traffic controller. Kuala Lumpur had said goodbye to the aircraft, which means that in his mental procedure, he was no longer under my control. I asked you to manually make radio contact with Ho Chi Minh. It is an old-fashioned manual process. It is the aircraft that takes the initiative, not the air traffic controller, which explains the reaction time. So the Malaysian controller thinks, that's it, I'm done. This aircraft is no longer with me. So he concentrates and that night he concentrated on 4 aircrafts that were flying in the southwest quadrant that maybe weren't going to meet, but required his attention. And for him, the Malaysian 370 was out of his control area.
At 1:20 hours local time on the 8th of March 2014, all these communications ceased to function. By the next morning, the aircraft was declared lost. It never landed in Beijing. Hundreds of distraught relatives would be left without answers.
239 of the passengers and crew on board MH370 are presumed to have lost their lives.
6 weeks after the aircraft disappeared, the satellite company Inmarsat was able to come forward with information of its own. The aircraft's Inmarsat receiver contacted the Indian Ocean satellite 7 times, beginning at 2:25 local time, an hour after the aircraft had disappeared, signaling that the system was booting up, proving that it had been turned off beforehand.
Our interpretation is that when the aircraft's electricity was cut off, or that someone aboard turned off the electricity, there are 2 ways. There's the electronic bay that is under the cockpit that someone could have got into on the ground and stayed there during the flight, as it's pressurized, heated, habitable, and decide to open the main electricity disjunctors that turns the electricity off. What happens? The RAT, or a turbine, a little windmill, is deployed from the aircraft and produces a small amount of electricity, but enough to fly the plane, and enough hydraulics to activate the controls.
Geometrically, the satellite could work out where, at what range from the satellite that aircraft was. Now, the range means it's anywhere on a big circle.
Your GPS in your car finds 3 satellites, and it doesn't know where you are, your GPS. It knows how far you are from that satellite, and it also knows the distance to that one and the distance to that one. So in its brain, in your GPS, it then draws 3 circles, and where they intersect is your position.
The 7 concentric rings produced by the Inmarsat satellite tell us MH370 was somewhere on the circumference, but do not tell us the direction it was flying in. However, the BPO values did help identify the route and the altitude.
Most of my lines, when I drew them on this big map here, were pretty much parallel. I didn't know which one was correct, but I was finding something out. I was finding out that the track of the aircraft during those 2.5 hours was somewhere between 188 degrees and 192 degrees.
If the aircraft was flying at 488 knots along those lines, what course would it have taken to reach the place it disappeared from radar coverage in 3 hours and 5 minutes from its last sighting? However, it is the last part of the route that is so difficult to estimate. The Inmarsat transmitter was rebooted, but never told the satellite it was ready. At some time within those 3 minutes, the aircraft was no longer flying. The mystery will continue, unless the aircraft is found and its flight data recorder retrieved, as the relatives of the 230 passengers and crew aboard MH370 earnestly hope.